it's really translated into all the things that I do at the house and woodworking and things like that. That I'm enjoying. I learned most of that from him. So, the other thing was traveling. We had this little kind of competition, I think, because we could see the most national parks and national historic sites and stuff like that. So I've got a couple more years, I hope, and we'll see if I can catch up with a few of those there. But we always had a good time talking about where we were going. He knew the road numbers and kept track of where he went, and I just still kind of do some of the same things. I think I do it more modern. He had the atlases and was highlighting things, and I put all my stuff on the computer. So a little bit different, but same idea. So those are the things that I really remember and enjoyed, especially in the later years of being around him, being with him, doing things. We went on a few trips together, but I didn't get to really. I moved away when I was 19. And it was different from the rest of you that stayed with him there for a while longer. But always there to support me, help me through a lot of good things and some of the bad times I've had. And just a great guy, and I really appreciate being part of his life because he was part of mine. And that's pretty much all I have to say right now. About we're true, we're the same. We grew up on a little farm, and we subsistence farming. We pretty much ate only what we grew and what we had, including a pig we had one that we would have to go out and slop all the time. Other times we would, we'd have a big garden, and our punishment was always to go out and pick up rocks out of the garden. So we'd have to go pick up rocks and throw them somewhere else. He was, when he didn't give us a good switching, he would have to go out and pick up rocks. He knew how to give a good switch.
Yeah. You guys are good kids, so.
He never got a switching, so.
Probably should.
Yeah, that's times on the farm growing up or something. It builds a little bit of character when you have to, you don't have a lot of money and you have to go and take care of yourself. I think probably the biggest thing that we shared, Jerry and he got to share a little bit of the fix it up kind of mentality, but mostly I think was the scouting part that we did together for so many years. I mean, I started out when I was 8 years old in 3rd grade in Cub Scouts, and was in scouting until I was trying to think if it was until I was about 20, I think, in all those years. We were 2 or 3 times a year we would go somewhere. We went on several national trips. First time I've ever been to California, the first time I ever saw the Grand Canyon, all those were with him as we went out to on a trip. The trip to Santa Barbara was the big one we did, and then went over to Tennessee and went to Texas and a bunch of places nationally with him. In addition to just camping, it seemed like once a month. And of course, he lived in such a gorgeous area to camp in northern Arkansas, and Buffalo River, and then it gets to Camp Oro, where that was one of his favorite spots, and where he wants his ashes to be dropped. And Jerry and I, and whoever else wants to participate in that can. It's not exactly the most luxurious area of the state of Arkansas, but so I think the scouting part of it is what I remember most with him. It was built a lot of character in that. It's about being honest and hardworking and being always being willing to help somebody that needed help. All of those things are things that you don't easily necessarily come by. Some people do, but when you're in scouting, so I think that. And then later years, of course, he did, like Barry said, like to travel a lot, and we got to go on a couple trips. One of his favorites, I think, was when we went down to Big Bend. Aaron and Martha and I went down to Big Bend with him. Mom and Travis stayed at home. But we went down there, and Aaron was just singing songs, and he was just, yeah, he'd sing something, and he said, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." For everything he would say. So, but he absolutely loved to hear Aaron sing.
So, my dad was someone who was always there for me.
Does anybody, Marlon, I'm so sorry, does anybody need water or anything? I thought they had, but okay.
So yeah, but Jerry and Jolie said about Dad being there, you know, being a strong man, being honest, hardworking, and always there for me. Always play games with me whenever I wanted to. He was just someone who was, you know, taught me about hard work and about just being there for Mom. And yeah, just love it. But someone to love, someone who will miss has always been a part of me. Love, you know, my love of travel came from him, and I'm a travel agent. And so his influence there still continues through all my life.
I wondered if Jerry and maybe the children would present the flag to
Do what?
Do you want to all do it, or do you decide? We thank Jim for his service. Thank you.
He was such a good man.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful.
Thank you.
We can take it for you, or
It was
It was the other way. There you go.
Yeah. Sweetheart, I love you.
And every time we would get in the car, he'd say, "Let's go the back way." Yesterday, when I got in the car with Joel and Jerry, what is the first thing Joel says? "Let's go the back way." He loved to go the back way, take that scenic route, even though he knew every single time I needed to go to the bathroom. A couple of times he'd pull over and he'd find me a nice secluded spot where I could go to the bathroom.
on the country
He would do
road.
that to me every time. I think sometimes he just did it so I would have to say, "Jim, I need to go to the bathroom." But I like to think that that's what he's doing right now. He's on that back road, seeing that scenic route, waiting for Phyllis.
I tell you, I remember when my dad was here just a few years ago, and we went up to Walmart, and my dad sat with Jim while Phyllis and I shopped, and Jim was, you know, his memory was getting a little bit loose by that time, but my dad was talking to him and different things, and he said, "Phyllis was just the best thing that ever happened to me." Just like what Aaron said, just this center, the way he never strayed from any of that. He might not have remembered all the details about things, but he knew. And the other thing, I just so loved him over the years. He's done so many wonderful things, but I did want to share one thing with you guys about his final days. When we came in that day, he had his King of War t-shirt. And I thought, what are the chances that he was wearing that? And it seemed like that was one of the favorite places to be out there, peaceful. He didn't aspire to have great riches. Maybe he did when his younger days, but you could tell it was family, nature, traveling. It was just those really salt of the earth kind of wonderful passions. It sounds like you shared and influenced all of you. I'm very, very grateful to have him such a wonderful part of our life, and I'm so glad that they moved near because we were heading back and forth to New Mexico or Arkansas, wherever they were. So once they were here, they've just been, Phyllis and Jim, such a wonderful part of our lives. Tell us to continue.
I think one thing that I can think of is that I feel like Grandpa was always like the example of what a gentleman should be. I've never met anybody who was as gentlemanly as Grandpa Jim was. I was my first impression. Like, he was always pulling out the chair for Grandma whenever she was there, and he was always holding the car door open for her. And I remember one time he said to me that, you know, when he first saw Grandma, that she was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, and that he knew that he had to make her his wife. And I think he was always so kind and always so loving, and he was always so supportive and just happy and a great person to be around. And I really appreciate that I had so much time to get to know him and everything over all of these years. So yeah.
I'm not pushing you guys. But even if you wanted to sit here and tell one thing that you love, you know, that's one.
I wanted to say something.
Yes.
When I had my house in Arkansas, I moved away to my first job after grad school, and I needed to get everything ready to sell. And Dad came over and did a bunch of work in the house, and essentially helping to get it ready to go. Then several years later, when we were living in our current house, Marley went away, and Dad was there. He was helping me redo the shower stall and the master bath. It was good to work with him. It was good to talk with him and to get to know him a little bit better than I had done in the past. Let that memory light in grief.
Love to you all. Betty, Art, Vicky, Frank and family, Art Jr., Mary and family. The house.
Am I supposed to be doing that?
And with deepest sympathy, Ruth. This is from Ruth Rand. Beautiful.
Well, we're all here together. I want to say how much, and Phyllis and I talked about this yesterday, how much we appreciate Martha. Martha, you do so much for this family. She calls you her angel.
Sweet. When you came in, I know you would if you were closer, because I've seen the way you pick up and just jump right in there.
But you are the backbone. You let everybody know what's going on. You're always here, and I appreciate you so much.
You were always the one at the nursing home. You were in all the time. When you come and visit him constantly.
I couldn't help but worry about him. But
Even when he wanted to whack you.
You know, we only tried to do that once. I tried to get him to do something, but in general, most of the time.
Even when he didn't know exactly who you were, he just knew you were a family or a good person.
As soon as I walked up to him, when they'd say he's been very ornery or he's not doing well, I'd come up and he'd say, well, how do you you? Come on, sit. You know, and he would just be.
He knows you're
loving.
one of his
Yeah.
people.
He didn't want
That
to
was
take one
staff.
of his 3 watches off, though, yeah.
Yeah, that was what it is. The one day he got, he
He had found watches from other patients there and had stuck them on, and they became his
He's
watches.
a bit of a watch hoarder.
It was cute. You know, one of the people, the manager there really appreciated his humor and his.
He's so
and
funny.
she would sit out with him, she said, if people just get to know him, he's just such a character, and she would sit out with him, and he'd just talk about things, and every once in a while, he'd look in his wallet, and he had his wallet, he'd pull it out, and he had stamps and things, and there's no money, I don't got no money. I don't have either. I know, he really could.
Okay.
Can I tell one other thing with him is that I still think it's so sweet that I really think at the very end, he was kind of going back to the childhood. And I believe you guys told me, and he told us himself that they didn't have an indoor plumbing. And as soon as he would get up from sleeping or anything, he went head out. And they were like, oh no, there he goes. They didn't want the neighbors complaining, but in general, he outwitted them numerous times.
You know where the real bathroom
Was right.
Sweetest.
Yeah, it was also when Jim was at times getting a little more frail than Phyllis was. We could never get him to walk ahead
Of
direct
Grandma.
him. We just say, get going, Phyllis, and he'll follow you. Because like you said, Erin, he wanted to make
Even
sure
when-
she was okay. For
Yeah, even when Grandma was walking and he had his cane, he was still there, kind of stumbling open the door. He was such a gentleman,
He would not
always.
go forward. He would
No,
go
he would
first.
never ever. Yeah, it was unthinkable
So
to not
sweet.
guiding Grandma.
That was his one.
Thank you for coming out here
I didn't quite understand that.
So thank you all for coming.
And then I didn't get separate. Go you out. Go the up and down. Everybody getting out of town. It really means.
It really
Really means so much more. And especially Grandma.
It's good we're all here as a family.
And Betty, we do tell, if we're gonna send you a video of this, and we miss you being here, but I know you're thinking of Jim and Phyllis, all of us. Jay. Oh, and Jamie is not able to be here, Jamie and Megan, and Alicia Rand. Does anybody wanna mention or say anything about Jeff? We lost him so recently.
I was gonna say, yeah, that I'm so glad. I know, like, that I'm a generation below it. I am really, really so glad that Uncle Jeff got to reconnect with Grandpa. Like that is such an amazing thing. I'm so thankful for that, and I think that Uncle Jeff was very thankful for that as well.
It is. They were very solicitous, very, very caring. Me and
Yes.
Teresa, when we went up and visited a year from last December, and you could tell that he's kind of a natural caretaker really around. He is, there were so many things about Jim that reminded me of Jeff.
Yeah.
And especially when he goes back to his roots, he
Yeah.
would speak more similar to Jeff.
I was glad that Joan and Jerry got to go up and hang out with Jeff and take him to all the old places. That was good.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bumpy ride. He was getting kind of frail and was getting knocked around, but he still enjoyed it, I think.
I think it meant a lot to
I think, yeah, if he didn't, he never held back with, if he didn't enjoy something, I'm
I almost put that out my nose.
Well, I'm glad that you guys went up, we would like to have been there at the end of Jeff's life, but I'm glad you guys went up there and he was able to do those things, because he didn't want a lot of fanfare at the end, he didn't want a hospice, he wanted to just continue going about his life. Okay, shall we head back to the house?
I love all of you.
Love you too.
We love you so much.
And thank you for your care and attention for planning this. You were, even though we came up on Friday, you did it all. You did it, you planned it, you wanted to make it so that all the children would have it all in place, and very appreciated. They had already had all their plans and wishes down.